Absolutely. And I can't wait. Like, I think that Sunday Fox game between the Bears and the 49ers, whether or not you think they're going to the Super Bowl, might be the most intriguing game on the entire slate because there is such an unknown for a team that went to the NFC Championship last year, dropping this young man into the starting lineup and saying, you have veteran players around you. I mean, like, Trent Williams doesn't want to be playing for another 10 years to look for this. This is his year to win a Super Bowl. You know, Kittle, contract situation. This is his year for that Super Bowl. Debo, all these guys, and they're loaded, all these positions. And there's this giant unknown at quarterback. I'm wearing this Russell Wilson jersey. There are questions about whether the Broncos can all step up. Like, every team has questions, but there is no bigger question than whether Trey Lance can play at the level that is necessary to not only be better than Jimmy Garoppolo, but to be better than a Matt Stafford or better than an Aaron Rodgers or better in that conference than the top quarterbacks that are going to be looking for their chance to go to a Super Bowl. He wasn't great last year, guys. I watched these games, and in this offseason, a lot of time in my hands. I watched him. Like, he won a game against the Texans and struggled really mightily against the Cardinals here, was inaccurate as heck. And then there was, like, this big pushback of, like, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, he actually was good last year. He made plays, but, like, certainly didn't put it on film where you're like, slam dunk, this is the next Patrick Mahomes, or slam dunk, this guy is better than Garoppolo. What a roll the dice it was to go up and trade for him, and now what a roll the dice it is to double down and say he's the guy. And the fact that they re-signed Jimmy, which made sense in real time, it only is this hovering situation. I can't remember a more enigmatic's not the word, a bigger unknown at the quarterback position for a team more capable of winning a Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, the Ravens came out of nowhere with Trent Dilfer, and then they were like, we're going to go with Gerback. Like, whatever it was, you can go back in time, but I don't think there was ever a question mark like this going into a season. Every position there is loaded, including, you know, the linebacker and the defensive line. Like, they are loaded, and quarterback is a huge question mark. And I'll say it again. He was not great in those games last year. He might be great. He was not great in those games last year.
And one of the things you just said, he wasn't great in those games, and it makes you kind of wonder, he didn't really do anything to overtake Jimmy Garoppolo, which leads to the biggest mystery in the NFL headed into week one is, what is the deal with Jimmy Garoppolo?
Okay.
And you know San Francisco wasn't planning to do this. We talked about it. They had Nate Sudfeld. He had $2 million guaranteed to now go and join the Detroit Lions. So for me, I'm wondering, and a lot of people in the NFL are wondering, what's going to happen with Jimmy G sitting on that bench? How much leeway does Trey Lance have? If he goes out there and he's not good in the first game, the first two games, the first half, at what point does the team turn and possibly look for Jimmy G to go into the game? And I think a lot of the points Peter made go a long way. This is a team that's stacked. They have the defense. They were in the conference championship game last year. They have signed Debo Samuel to a contract extension. Trent Williams isn't looking. He doesn't have a ton of time to win that Super Bowl. So you have to think about it. If this season isn't going the way they plan, if Trey Lance isn't playing the way they plan, the mystery is going to be, after the first game, Kyle Shanahan comes in for his press conference. Hey, Trey Lance didn't play well. Hey, did you consider going with Jimmy G at halftime?
Yeah.
Hey, that interception he threw in the fourth quarter in week 4, did you think about late in that game kind of giving Jimmy G a chance to spark the offense? So for me, the mystery is going to be how not only the coaching staff handles Jimmy G being on that bench, but how do the players, how does the organization, how do the fans handle it? Will people be yelling for Jimmy G to enter that game? That is a mystery that we're all waiting to find out.
Yeah, every organization, team, coach, players, they all have a freak-out barometer, right? And we're about to find out where the 49ers falls. Mystery, to me, implies that there are more questions than answers, and Trey Lance absolutely falls into that category. There are other situations across the league where this applies, but Peter, I'm curious about the film that you did watch, because my take was essentially going to be, we haven't heard out of this world this way or that way about Trey Lance. It's very much like, well, we'll see. Well, we'll see. But you're saying that you feel like you have seen, and it hasn't been convincing. So is the answer to this question that Kyle Shanahan is convinced because of what he is able to now put into the offense, but he couldn't just do it on a drop of a hat last year in one game?
I think that's absolutely it. He played one game in 12 months at North Dakota State, and they were like, all right, we need to get you onto the field. He wasn't supposed to play last year. Now the thought is full year under his belt, offseason where he was the leader. he's going to be far better. You're doing that on speculation, and you have to trust Kyle Shanahan, right, Jamie? Like, I feel like you have to.
You do, and he hasn't done much to have us deny that trust, have us not put that faith in that he knows the system that he finds will be most successful for this team and the makeup of this team. And if he feels like he has found the guy, it sounds like he's going to fall on that sword if he really has to. But mystery, more questions than answers, absolutely Trey Lance for me.
3 for 3, Kyle. What do you think?
Well, one thing Jason said triggered me because we've all entertained this possibility of, oh, if he just crashes and burns, you put Garoppolo in. But that's not likely. What's more likely is the one you said where the offense is just flat, and do you go to Jimmy mid-game to give him a boost? And whoever it is, Greg Olsen on the call, they start saying, I don't know, I might get Jimmy warming up. A lot of 3-and-outs. That's so dangerous. I hate that because that one's so much more likely than him just being terrible.
There was a Nick Foles Bears team a couple of years ago where Trubisky was like, okay, and then they were like,
he's waiting.
We got to put
Super Bowl MVP.
We got to put in Foles, and that kind of ruins. I mean,
and then
it's that television
was
shot.
Never really the same. I know. No, it really is. But I'm going to take a sharp left turn into. We're talking about mysteries and what the heck is going on with Trey Lance. What the heck is going on with this year's Patriots? What are we getting? We're a few days away. They're taking on also an equally mysterious Dolphins team. And this is the perfect week to bring it up because the Pats are getting no love, guys, in the people what we do, in the division picks and the wild card picks. They're just not out there. And I'm trying to put my finger on why, okay? So they got their doors blown off in a playoff game by a great Bills team, but they were in a playoff game with a rookie quarterback, okay? They were in the playoffs with a rookie. And, okay, they didn't add Devontae Adams in the offseason. That's not really what they do. I need a little more than uncertainty at offensive coordinator to start tearing down what Bill Belichick has done for 20 years. For me, I don't have him in the playoffs either. I'm not casting stones. I don't either. And it's more of this factor of I just don't have a spot for you. There's so many shiny toys here that I have to put in. But I think this is interesting. And Jason, I look to you, and I'm not doing shtick here. Jason, not only is your brother a member of this team, you won a Super Bowl with this team. You know this team inside and out. You didn't pick them to win the division. You didn't pick them for a wild card. And you said at the end of the show, you're like, I didn't even think about it. How are you that certain with what they've built over 20-plus years that this year just isn't going to be the year?
I think, like you said, there are other teams that I like more. And I think what they've done over the past 20 years is truly remarkable, but it has no implications on the 2022 season. Bill Belichick will tell you that firsthand. Nobody cares what you did yesterday, a year ago, 2 years ago, how many Super Bowls you've won. It doesn't matter. And at this point, in early September, going into week 1, there are a ton of question marks. We've watched them in the preseason. The starters have played. It doesn't look great. We watched them in the Raiders game. We talked so much about the offense, but Jarrett Stidham drove the offense for the Raiders down the field, scored a touchdown, kicked a field goal in the 2 series that he went against the starters. So I'm not saying, hey, they may be able to get there. Who knows as the season develops what they're able to do and the improvement they're able to make. But right now, as I'm looking at the rosters of some of these other teams in the AFC, it's going to be an uphill battle. And in the division, I mean, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are just that good.
They are. What do you make of Mac Jones in year 2? Bump, or because of the whole who's calling the plays thing and no McDaniels, it's a dip?
I think it makes it very tough. And I won't say a definite dip, but it's going to be very hard to make a bump because we always talk about it. And that's one thing I'm adamant about because in the years I've played in Tennessee and other teams, you have quarterbacks that you draft high from a guy like a Jake Locker, and then he plays for 4 different offensive coordinators in 5 years. It's hard to make that bump. So with Mac Jones, you get year 1, rookie quarterback. You take him to the playoffs with Josh McDaniels, and you see him. As the season goes, he's just going up. But now you have a brand new system with new offensive coordinators. It makes it very hard to make that jump.